boys and girls, it's Miss Rossi. Today we are going to learn about a new artist and make artwork inspired by their work. Let's get started. The artist we're learning about this week's name is Chris Uphues. Chris is a painter, street artist, and designer in New York City. He makes small paintings, he makes murals, all different kinds of things where he's using different shapes like hearts or stars or flowers and adding cartoon-like faces. He'll even use things like food or everyday objects and add faces to those to bring those to life as well. When he's creating his drawings and paintings, he is using simple shapes to make up his subject. So if he is drawing different kinds of food, he is looking at those items and figuring out what kind of simple shape makes up that food item. So if he's looking at a slice of watermelon, he might start his drawing using a triangle and go from there. Looking for simple shapes in more complex objects makes it a lot easier to draw them. Because once you start with your simple shape, you can add all these other details afterwards to make it look more realistic. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make some artwork inspired by his work. You can make his artwork in two different ways today. You can use a bunch of different colored pieces of paper and collage an object that looks like his work using scissors and a glue stick, or you can create a drawing if you don't have colored paper of some different objects. So I'm going to show you both today. You can use whatever art materials you have at home to make these. And if you're looking for help creating those eyes and mouths that he uses, I have a document on my Canvas page that you can download with different ideas to get you started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make one where I'm drawing it. So I'm going to use a pencil, a marker to trace it, a plain piece of paper, and I'm going to color it in with some crayons. Now you can do objects like he's using, like hearts or stars or flowers, or you can do different kinds of food, or even if you want to do different objects that you have around your house and add those kinds of eyes and faces to those, also you can do that. I think I'm going to do maybe a hamburger in my picture, and I will do maybe a crayon as like an art supply version. So I'm going to start by drawing with my pencil. I think I'm going to do a crayon first. Since I have them here, I'm going to pick a nice new looking crayon as my reference so I know what kinds of shapes I want. So looking at this crayon, I'm going to break it down into some simple shapes. So looking at it, I can see that it's kind of almost like a rectangle, making up that cylinder shape when I'm looking at it from one side. And the tip is making more of a triangle shape. So as I draw this on my paper, I'm going to draw it nice and big. I'm going to start by making that triangle shape at the top, except instead of making a regular triangle, I'm going to make it flat at the top. So it has that crayon point. That looks like the right shape. So I have that triangle shape for the top. And then I know I was going to go out a little bit further than my point that I have. And then I can bring it straight back down to make this big like rectangle shape here. And that looks like a good length, so I'll just close it there to finish that rectangle shape. And I'm just going to go and round my corners because my edges here aren't too sharp, so I want this to just have a little curve instead of those points. So I started with my simple shapes of my triangles and my rectangles, and I am able to now go in and fix some areas and add these little details to make it look more like my object. Those simple shapes were just to get me started with how the overall shape of my crayon was going to look. And now I can go and add even more details by drawing in the wrapper. So the wrapper starts a little bit low and it doesn't go all the way down. And I can add that little design on there too if I want. So when drawing my wrapper details too, I can break that also down into simple shapes. So I have these bands that look like almost rectangles going across the sides. And then I have a big oval where it says Crayola. So now I can add my little details. I'm going to add a wavy line on my label on both sides here. Now that I got all the details done on my crayon, and I like the way that it looks, I can add my Chris Uphues face on it. I have that file on my Canvas page if you need some ideas, but Chris does a lot of big cartoony faces. So he's doing big ovally shaped eyes in all different styles, and he is doing big smiles to go with them, or big mouths. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my eyes around this top part of my crayon and then put the mouth down here. I'm going to do some circle eyes on my crayon. So I'm going to start by drawing 2 big circles. I'm going to erase whatever is drawn inside there from my crayon, and I think I'm going to give him some eyelids by just drawing a straight line across, and I'm going to add my eyeball in there too, and it's going to be looking to the side because that's where I'm going to draw my other character, so I can have them kind of looking at each other. Now he has some interesting looking eyes. I'm going to add a highlight in there too, and then I can color the rest of that in. There we go. And let's give it a nice big smile. I'm going to put the smile down here. And then I will go across straight and bring it straight down. It's almost like a sideways D shape if you're making a capital D. It's an easy way to draw a mouth, and I'm just going to add a tongue. I'm just going to trace this in Sharpie and color it in, and then I will draw my next Chris Uphues style object. And that is my crayon all finished. So now in the space next to it, I'm just going to draw a food item. So I'm just going to draw a big cheeseburger. And as I'm drawing my cheeseburger, I'm doing the same thing that I did with my crayon, where I'm thinking about simple shapes that I can find in a cheeseburger and drawing those first before adding different details. So I know my bun on the top is going to be more of like a half circle. Everything in the layers, like the bottom bun and the burger, is going to be more of a rounded rectangle. So it's a lot easier to draw when you think about simple shapes and simple lines and how those are making up your object. I'm going to add a nice Chris Uphues face to it, and I think I'm going to put the whole face in the top bun here since it's the biggest part. When you're looking at your object, you can decide where you think the face is going to work best. It's totally up to you. And I'm going to do some big eyes that are oval shaped this time. And they're going to be looking up at my crayon. I'm going to give them a big, more rectangle shape smile this time with some teeth. There we go, and I can give them some eyebrows. I'm going to draw some seeds on my bun. And now I can trace that one and color it in too. And those are my Chris Uphues characters all finished. Like I said, you can draw whatever kind of object you would like. It can be food, it could be a school supply, it could be an electronic like your phone or a computer or your Chromebook or a television, and just add those cartoony faces that our artist uses. If you want to add a background to your picture, if you're drawing it like this, you can. You can show where your characters are, what they are doing. That would be cool. I'm going to leave mine like this and move on to my construction paper. I'm going to do the same thing where I'm thinking about an object, and I'm going to separate all of its parts into different pieces of construction paper to make a collage. So since I have red, green, and black construction paper, I am going to do a slice of watermelon because I think that makes the most sense for this. So I'm going to think about a slice of watermelon in simple shapes, again, like I did with my other objects. So I'm going to start, I think the top of my watermelon is going to be a nice big triangle. So I'm going to start by drawing a big triangle with my pencil on my red paper. I'm going to make the bottom a little bit curved, like that. And once I like the shape, I can cut it out. So I think that's going to be good. So I have the pink part of my watermelon already. I'm going to grab my green paper and I'm going to glue my red paper to my green paper. I'm going to do this because now it's going to be easier for me to see where I want to draw the green edge of my watermelon. If I just draw it like next to my red paper, I might not get it the right size and it's going to be a little bit tricky. So with my glue stick, I'm going to look on my red paper for the side that still has pencil lines showing. Since I don't want to see those, I'm adding glue to the side with those pencil lines. And I'm just going to flip it and glue it onto my green paper, just like that. And now I want this bottom edge of my watermelon to have that green rind on it. So I'm going to just draw that coming from my pink paper, or coming from my red paper, onto my green paper. And since I glued them together already, it's making it a lot easier for me to see where I should be drawing this piece and where it's going to be going. Now that I've drawn that, I can grab my scissor and cut out my entire thing. So I'm going to cut along my red paper, and there we go. And if I see any green paper still showing around the edge of my red, I can just trim it off. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some seeds. So I have my black paper and my seeds are going to be like teardrop shaped. So I'm going to cut out a few of those and glue them on. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my seeds, where I'm going to put glue on the side where I can still see those pencil lines. That looks good. I'm going to use my white paper and I'm going to draw some eyes. So I'm just going to do two little ovals, just like we did before. I'll have these looking down and I'll add a couple little highlights in here. I'm tracing these with my Sharpie, and then my mouth I'm just going to draw directly onto my watermelon. And now I can glue my eyes onto my watermelon. I'm going to use my Sharpie to just draw on a mouth. To do a nice big smiling mouth, just like that. And if I want to go in and add any little details, I might outline this edge with my Sharpie, and I think that will be good. And those are both of my Chris Uphues style drawings all finished. You can decide whether you want to do a drawing version or if you want to create a little cut paper collage of your object. And like I said, you could pick whatever kind of object you want to add that little cartoon face to. When you're done, take a picture of your project and share it with me on your Google Doc. I can't wait to see the amazing work you guys create. Have fun, try your best, and get creative. Bye!